But I don't know anyone where everything's perfect in our lives. If we're all honest, there's all areas where we do want to change. I've had to really take a good look at myself and see how much energy I've wasted over the years worrying about things.
What am I going to do tomorrow when that inner voice that has always been there, belittling me and putting me down and never encouraging me? What am I going to answer to that voice? Because that voice is not going to go away. And that's not because you're crazy, because everybody has got that little voice.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think you've said so many times in this interview, and I'm so grateful that you have, that this is not about beating yourself up. It's not about judging yourself. There's a huge difference between understanding where you're at and criticizing yourself.
I think there are two things that we should start our morning with, that it's a must. That doesn't mean that they need to go to boot camp. You know, like, that doesn't mean that they need to become plant-based overnight. What it is meditation? Do I have to become a monk, like, you know, in a cave and humming? No. That is a killer of any physical, mental, and emotional health chance of you feeling in control of your life. You know, people that succeed, they have a plan. They don't just go with the flow.
Hello, my name's Catherine Edwards, host of the Live, Love, Learn podcast. For people that are listening to this on a podcast platform rather than on my YouTube. Now, I am absolutely delighted to have back a guest that I've had on my channel before, 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗓. And 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗓 is a health and life coach. And we did a first interview that I really encourage everyone listening to, which was about the mindset that changed my life. And 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗓 explains the journey that's got her to where she is today. But today we are going to be speaking about something that is absolutely fundamental to every single one of us watching, because when we start having a better grasp of this, everything in our life changes. And what we're going to be talking about today is habits. Everything to do with habits, how we can recognize when our current ones are no longer serving us, and most importantly, how we can recreate new habits which are going to serve us physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, to create the life that we want. So 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢, first and foremost, thank you so much for coming back today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Catherine, for having me. It's just a pleasure. It's so great to reconnect. Our first episode, like I said, I really encourage people to listen to it. It was amazing. And today we're going to be answering a few questions from that episode as well, which I think it's great that people are, you know, participating, wanting to make some changes to improve their life as well. And I think the initiative that you're doing here, it's incredible. It's so amazing. You know, we need more people like you doing this kind of work. I think living consciously is such an important part of our lives if we want to create, you know, this beautiful, happy, and fulfilled life that we are in this lifetime to live for. So thank you so much for having me here.
It's absolutely a pleasure. And I really love the fact that so many of our listeners ask questions below our last video. So for those of you watching this on YouTube, please do ask questions in the comments, and 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢 and I can come back and cover those next time. And for those of you listening onto a podcast platform, all my contact details to email any questions through are below. Now, before we really launch into it, we are having a few internet issues because 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢's in the middle of a move. So if we freeze a bit, just bear with us. It's worth sticking through because there's so much information. Let's start, 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢, with some of the questions we had last time, if that's okay. I've written a few of them down, and you can, if I've missed any, let me know. But the reason I think we should start with these is they lead really nicely. They link into what we're going to be talking about today, many of them anyway. So we have one really good question, where I'm not mentioning people's names, just in because I didn't ask them if they're happy to have their names. But this was a really good question. I have a full-time job and a daughter. All of this super healthy living is very good and well, but how do we fit in time for it? Seriously, the other day, to make healthy food, I had to choose between seeing my daughter and making us a nice meal. I'd really appreciate an episode on fitting all this into a day-week schedule. Bulk cooking is a good idea, but is it great frozen? Sometimes hearing about all the health supplements and what I'm doing wrong actually adds stress onto a life where I struggle to fit things in. I think a lot of people can empathize with that, Angelica.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's real. Everybody's busy, right? Like so for the people that don't know about my story that I shared in the last episode, I am a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, and I started my healing journey during chemotherapy. So for me, it was somehow kind of a gradual increase into new habits that I had to fit in a busy life, because during chemo I was at home, but then once I started getting back to normal life and I needed to go to work and be at work and do things and do normal things in life, and life got busy, I had to fit in everything that I did within my whole life again, right? And I think that one thing that it's very, very easy to do is that think that health put aside, right? Like, so that question that it's talking about, how do I fit in? Like, how can I, should I spend time with my daughter or cook a healthy meal? Why can't we just do both together? My kids, they came in this journey with me, right? And, and I'm not saying that they cook with me every day, but my kids, they want to know, what are we having for dinner? They cherish like sitting down together and having a good meal together. They want to participate on the choices that we're going to have, every day, because they know how important it is to eat healthily. So if they're kind of going around the house and not knowing what to do, because I don't want them to be on devices and things like that, I'll say to them, okay, well, you can come and help me, or you can go and read a book next to me, or you can draw, like my daughter likes drawing, next to me. So it's kind of, because I think it depends on the age as well. I think when they are little, they just want to be close to you, they just want to be with you, and if you're kind of listening to some music together and they're doing their activity, or just by being close physically, they are happy because they have you there. You can be talking about your day to day, or what is happening at school and things like that. So it's not a choice of should I do this or that. It's just how you can incorporate and making fun. If it becomes a chore, nobody wants to do it, right? To start making the habit of making health as your priority, you fit in, you don't just leave it out, and it doesn't become a chore. And I think that, and we're going to talk a little bit further after we answer a few more questions, how we do that, how we create that, that is kind of in a sustainable way for the long term, which is, I think it's the most important thing, like how can we, it's not like a diet plan for 10 weeks, for 12 weeks, is how do you do that as part of our life? And, and don't forget the benefits of like showing your kids, modeling to your kids, how important, the importance that you give to health, right? Like my kids, I am like guarantee 100% in my journey, it wasn't about just changing me, my physical, mental, and emotional health. It was about how can I teach them, how can I model to them to always put themselves first, to always put their health first, so they never have to go through what I went through. So yeah. I think that's kind of how we change, again, our mindset behind the little bits that get us stuck.
I love it. And it's exactly what I do. Children do what we do, not what we say. So if we're saying that we're putting healthy eating as a priority and not spending time doing with it, but children love gardening. I mean, my children, I get a lot about, because I've got so many animals, and everyone's always sees it as a chore. And I'm like, no, it's not a chore. It's a benefit. It gets me out in nature every day. It builds my microbiome. It keeps me moving. It keeps me fit. And my children have grown up doing that with every day. And what an amazing way to start your morning. So we spend a lot of energy, don't we, on thoughts, and we're going to come on to this with the habits. It's really important. We're spending a lot of energy worrying, and I am a natural worrier. My natural personality. I've had to really take a good look at myself and see how much energy I've wasted over the years worrying about things. And what we're hopefully going to start off today and come back and do more of is how we can convert that energy into something more positive. So it was a really lovely question. Thank you so much. The next one I've got is equally good. So she was diagnosed with breast cancer stage 3 in November. and feel very strongly that with the right mindset, I will absolutely survive this. I'm halfway through my second round of chemo of 12 weeks, and I meditate and flow with the situation, no fighting. My question is, I know I have to exercise more, but because of the chemo, I'm just too tired. I go out for walks every day as long as I can, or go for a bicycle ride, but still my muscles have become very weak. I feel to just let my dear body have all the rest it needs right now, and then in 6 weeks, when I finish the chemo, start with the gym. I would like to know if following the needs of my body now is a smart thing to do, or should I force myself to do more exercise?
I think that is a great question. That is a very, very powerful question. So during chemotherapy, somebody sent me a video of a lady who was battling stage 4 cancer, bowel cancer at the time, and she had beat the stage 4 cancer. I had stage 3B with exercise. As soon as I saw that, I was like, that's it. I need to make exercise as a priority. Now, for this person who asked that question, I was sick 24/7. You know, if you ever felt morning sickness, I felt like this 24/7. I had probably a minute of relief just after I ate, and that was it, nothing else. So I was sick. I was tired. The first session, I spent 5 days in bed. You know, like it was rough. It was not easy at all. But there is science backing up exercise during cancer treatment now that you can't deny the benefits of exercising during chemo anymore. Oncologists should be actually encouraging it. You know, this was 5 years for me. Oncologists should be encouraging people to doing that, because now it's a fact, it's a real, it's a science backing this up. So that's the first, right? The second, I do understand that the body needs a lot of rest. So it's not the should I do this or should I do that? You need to do both.
Yeah.
So and both are going to be equally important. And how do you go about it is that you need to learn and connect your body in the process. What it is the balance that I push my body and I respect my body. And it's a very fine line that nobody can tell you apart from yourself. But there is no growth if you don't push your body, right? If you don't push your body in the 6 weeks, you know, for me, it was 7.5 months. If I hadn't done any exercise, my body would have gone like that. But my body didn't, because I was able to finish chemo feeling stronger than I started, and I had 12 sessions. If I hadn't done any exercise, all my muscles, everything would have declined a lot.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in that position. I didn't have cancer fatigue. I didn't have anything because I exercised daily. Now, again, how do you go about that? It's a habit. I started with 5 minutes, you know, walk around the block, 5 minutes yoga when I couldn't even get out of the house, 5 minutes on my bike that I put on a wind trainer. And then from 5, you go to 6, you go to 7, you go to 8. But, you know, let me tell you, you're not going to feel like it. You are not going to feel like it. But, you know, you have to make a decision. You know, if I used to ask myself every single morning, do I want to live or die? I didn't have any other options. Staying in bed wasn't an option for me.
Yes.
You know, I really strongly believe that, you know, like especially in a cancer journey, there is lots of moving parts. Not doing one thing, it's going to be the solution for the problem. It's doing a lot of different things, and exercise is a massive important part. So it's really playing around. Sometimes I would just go for it, and I would like be sweating so much that my PICC line, I had a PICC line on my arm, would just get irritated. You know, and they'll be like, oh, you know, the oncologist will be like, oh, maybe you should stop exercising. And I'm like, no, I'm not stopping exercising. So it is really a fine line that only you can connect your body each time and feel in yourself, you know, today, how much can I push my body and how much can I respect my body? And that just creates such a beautiful connection with your body, you know, that I still have today. I know when I am tired and I need to get to bed earlier. I know what I need to do to push myself in an exercise session, in a yoga session, you know, if I know exactly what my body needs because I created that connection with my body.
Love it. I think that's such good advice. So I hope that helps. Thank you. We're looking forward to more questions under this. Now, the next question that I had leads really nicely into about how do we form habits, and what habits should we be looking at that are no longer serving us. So this chap was asking about, I want to find out more about what you both do to stay healthy, what food and water, what supplements, what's lifestyle. And for me, Angelica, these are all the things we're looking at when we're talking about what habits are going to serve us that we need to be incorporating, because no animal in nature, not a single animal in nature, isn't doing what you were saying then and balancing lots of things. They don't think I've got my shelter, so I don't need to eat. It's life is this balancing act the whole time. And when we embrace the fact that we can make different choices around our shelter, our food, our water, our thoughts, our company, etc. So let's dive into the habits now and sort of say, when we're talking about habits, where do people start? How do they first of all realize, do you know what, I've got to make a change? What I'm doing at the moment, they might not label it as habits, but their daily life isn't suiting them. Where's the starting point?
Yeah. So I think making a decision, it's the first thing. Like you're saying, no, I need to change something in my life. I need, having the intention behind that, I'm ready to change. I'm all in now. That doesn't mean that they need to go to a 45 minutes session at the gym. And I think that's where the problem is. That doesn't mean that they need to go to boot camp. Like that doesn't mean that they need to become plant-based overnight. So for me, and I really guide my clients through small changes. And that, if people are listening to that and they are in that place of like, I need to do something, I think there are two things that we should start our morning with, that it's a must. We need to exercise our body and we need to exercise our minds. The way that we exercise our bodies, it could look like a 5 minutes walk on spot while you listen to 3 songs. If somebody hasn't exercised for a long time, if somebody is overweight and they have a lot of weight to lose and they're putting a lot of weight on their joints, you don't want to do anything drastic. That could be in a 5 minutes yoga session. They go on YouTube. There's plenty of amazing teachers there. You just choose 5 minutes. And you start doing that every single morning. And the 5 minutes exercise of the mind is a 5 minutes meditation. Now, don't call it meditation because there's so much pressure with that, right? What it is meditation? Do I have to become a monk, like, in a cave and humming? No, it's just 5 minutes that you do nothing. That it could be, again, with an app like I've used at the beginning, Headspace, which I really like, just to guide you through it, just to really kind of go, okay, now take some deep breaths. Now, does that mean that you're going to sit there and you're not going to have any thoughts, any worries, anything coming up? Oh, yes, you're going to have that. But don't worry about it. The most important thing is to show up to yourself every single day. That is the most important. Does that mean that with the 5 minutes walk, you're going to become an Olympian overnight? No. But I can guarantee you that the 5 minutes that you walk on spot, it's going to start to make you stronger. It's going to start to make you mentally happier. It's going to start to make you feel happier about yourself because you know that you're doing something for you. And the endorphins will be going. You're going to start the day in a different way. You're going to start tackling things in a different way. So everything starts compounding. Now, I would suggest that people stay on this for at least 2 weeks. Don't start adding anything to it, because that's when, again, everything goes pear-shaped. Oh, but I need now to change everything, my diet entirely, and I need to, go from 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not doing anything. I need to doing half an hour. No. It is not like a race. It is a lifestyle change. It is changing our mindset. I am just going, even if I did this for the rest of my life, that's what I'm doing. So when I go back to myself during chemo, that's what I thought. What can I do for the rest of my life that I'm doing now that I can keep doing? And let's face it, walking is something that everybody can do. It has incredible benefits. You don't have to go to the gym. You know, and when I say walk on the spot, is that I have lots of clients that live in Canada, in America, it's really cold, in England, you know, so again, if you're walking on spot, you have no excuses. I used to exercise on my pajamas, and sometimes I still do. You get out of bed, you stand up, and you just walk on spot. There is no excuse for not doing it. And I think another important thing is thinking, okay, so I need an extra 15 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes to walk on spot, 5 minutes to do a meditation, you know, another 5 minutes to give or take. So going to bed 15 minutes earlier so you don't compromise on your sleep. What are most people doing an hour before they go to bed? They are on social media. They're watching crap TV. They are drinking alcohol and eating crap food, you know, snacks and things, or chocolate or whatever, you know. Nothing is benefiting you. So just go to bed 15 minutes earlier. So you don't have to it's not like you're missing out on anything, is it? It's not, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, it's really not like we're missing out. So just, again, it's about that fine balance, respecting yourself. I'm going to go to bed earlier because tomorrow I want to wake up earlier, and I don't want to compromise on my sleep, and I want to choose me first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I had to add to that, one more thing is, do not look at your mobile phone first thing in the morning. That is a killer of any physical, mental, and emotional health chance of you feeling in control of your life. You know, I don't turn my phone on until I have done all my morning routine, until I finish my breakfast, and sometimes until I drop my kids off at school, and then I'll turn my phone on. Unless somebody is about to die in your family, or something, you know, that is something that you know that you need to attend to, there is no need for you to do that.
It's very, very true. And I think, you know, if anyone's listening to this and they feel resistance coming up, I really want to cover that before we move on, because the resistance is there to tell you something. It's to show you that there's a habit there that is no longer serving you. And when we're honest with ourselves, you know, none of us would be thinking about changing our habits if everything was perfect in our life. But I don't know anyone where everything's perfect in our lives. If we're all honest, there's all areas where we do want to change. I think often the decision is, how bad are we going to let it go before we make that change? And realizing that there's a choice. You know, if you've got that little voice in your head, or that little feeling in your heart that I'm talking myself out, when you find yourself trying to convince yourself that what you're doing is okay, I would see those as red warning flags. What about you, Angelica?
I think there is this idea that this inner voice is just going to go away, like gone away, right? You're going to wake up on Monday morning, 1st of January, and that voice is not going to be there anymore. So understanding that that voice is going to be there is a really important part of the process. You need to have an answer to that voice, because that voice is going to tell you 5 minutes is not going to do anything. Why are you doing that again? You've never done anything for too long. This is just a waste of time. Why are you meditating? This is useless. That is just absolutely like the real truth of what everybody's going to go through. But making the decision to take control of that voice is not the truth. That voice is simply what you're saying, the ego trying to protect you, to keep you safe in whatever you're doing, because it's comfortable. By nature, we choose that comfort. But that does not mean that it's true. So another trick to the habit is, before you go to bed, you rehearsal what's going to happen. You wake up and that little friend's going to be there. Why are you doing that? This is useless. This is not going to do anything for you. Don't get up. It's too dark. It's too cold. So you just tell that little voice gently, I know what you're talking about, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's the plan. You know, people that succeed, they have a plan. They don't just go with the flow. You know, you need to have a plan in your mind. What am I going to do tomorrow when that inner voice that has always been there, belittling me and putting me down and never encouraging me, what am I going to answer to that voice? Because that voice is not going to go away. And that's not because you were crazy, because everybody has got that little voice.
Absolutely.
So it's managing that.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good advice for people, because, you know, preparation is so key to success. When you can anticipate these things that you're going to face, I have a laugh about it. You know, I have a laugh with the conversations I have with my own voice. I find it quite amusing. And when you can recognize that and separate that from you know, there's so much. This is so deep, everyone. We can go into different areas. Oh, here comes Coco. I hope she's not going to pull my internet out. She comes onto our desk and then pulls all the internet out. But I think being prepared, now there's so much research to show that your morning routine and your bedtime routine are absolutely key to making any changes in your life. We've already spoken a little bit about that, but there's books like The Miracle Morning, which I absolutely love. Now it's pretty full on, but actually you can implement little bits of it. But understanding how you start your day and how you end your day are really crucial. What have you learned about that, Angelica?
Yeah, so that's why I really think that starting with and the exercising of your body and exercising of your mind, it's a must. The
Yes.
Miracle Morning is a beautiful book, but you know, when people read that, and I've read that book, it's like, how am I going to fit in all of this, you know, in my morning routine, since I have been exhausted, I can't wake up an hour and a half before I need to get out of the house or whatever. So I think that's a little overwhelming for the start. So I think that if you start with your body and your mind, and the reason why I start with the body and the mind is because we live in our bodies. You know, even though we can control our thoughts, if our bodies you know, is in shambles, like mine was, like everything is, you know, out of whack, and you were exhausted, and you know, you don't know if you're coming or going, it's very hard for you to focus on anything, because you're literally on survival mode. You're getting out of bed exhausted, you're going to work exhausted, you're just literally surviving. So if you don't attend to your body first thing in the morning, and there is, so like I said, you can go so deep into that, you know, you are saying to your cells, you are a priority, I love you, you are first, it doesn't matter what happens after, I am putting you first. This is the kind of connection I have with my body, because I started doing 5 minutes exercising my body, 5 minutes exercising my mind. Now, why is it so important to exercise your mind? Because everybody's got this inner crazy voice, this loose monkey inside of their heads that are just running wild. And that 5 minutes quiet time, no devices, no flashing things, no notifications, nothing. You start understanding their voice, like you're saying, to the point that one day you can actually laugh about it. But most people are not, they don't even understand that their voice is controlling them 24/7, and that's dictating everything that they do 24/7, because they have zero control of what's going on in their heads, because they don't stop.
Yeah.
Now, I had a client who was, you know, very successful, high achiever, was married, happy with kids, ate healthily, her health was under control physically, but she said, I'm not happy. I'm just not happy. And everybody tells me to meditate, and, you know, I haven't got time. This is ridiculous. The thing is with meditation is that you need to sit with yourself. And that's scary. And that can be quite scary and daunting, because if you are like me before cancer, I had never sat with myself. I didn't even know who I was. I'm like, who is this person? Who is this body? What is this voice? What is going on? How did I even get here? And of course, as soon as you start going down there, you can either let the resistance control you and you stop doing it altogether, or you can embrace this journey and think, you know what? Yeah, there's so many things that I want to change. I have been doing so many things that are not really benefiting me. I'm just going down the wrong path here. I felt that it was almost like I needed to learn how to walk again. I need to learn how to talk again, because everything that I've been doing is wrong.
Mm.
So being prepared to sit with that, it can be challenging. But I would always say to people, don't underestimate the power of 5 minutes, a different habit. Because I am here today because I was prepared to sit there for the 5 minutes, to exercise for the 5 minutes, to do my yoga practice for 5 minutes. And some days I would think to myself, this is not doing anything. Nothing is doing anything. I'm not getting any better. I had many setbacks. I would go in to have my chemotherapy treatment, and they will be saying to me, your bloods are not good enough. You've got low platelets. You've got low white cells. This is happening, that's happening. And I was already changing.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, it takes time for the body to create the disease. It takes time for the body to create harmony again, and to re-regulate again, to find a new normal again. So patience and persistence, and it's really, really important.
Yeah, I think that's just absolutely key. In terms of when people are, if you're starting working with clients and you're starting to get them to sort of self-assess, so we've got the starting point, the morning starting point, mind and body, start small. I 100% agree with that. So if people are listening to this and they're thinking, right, but there's so much about my life that I want to change, we know we're going to start small, but how do you keep the motivation to sort of start then adding things on? So when do you start adding the next things on, so that, because positive feedback is a real encourager for people, isn't it? When they do start feeling different, when they do start seeing that change, it can give you that next boost to keep going and know that you can achieve more. How do you cover that process with your clients?
So there are a couple of options. Like, there is an option that we have Zoom sessions, and I provide them a one-to-one support via text in between sessions, which I really believe is very, very important in this process, because life keeps happening.
Yeah.
And you probably have experienced that with your clients as well. And as soon as something happens that is a little bit out of the whack, it's very easy for them to just, like, that's it, all my routine is out of whack, I don't know what to do. And in actual fact, that's a really important part of the process, to go, okay, that happened, that's good, that's great. So now, how are we going to keep going? How, we were going before with the morning routine, and it might be that, people are doing 15 minutes, but, there's a couple of things happen. So that day, don't miss it altogether, but you do 5 minutes, or you do your walk during lunchtime. So it's teaching people to think for themselves as well, and sometimes, as you probably have experienced, some people are quicker to grasp, the whole idea of, like, yeah, no, I'm on a roll now, I really like it, I want to change more, I want more, what should I do here, what should I do there? And some people, it takes a little longer. Again, there is no judgment here. We all need to start with what we've got. Like, there is no point in, like, if during my healing journey, if I was like stage 3 back cancer, keep thinking to myself, oh my God, why, like, why do I start here? I'm so sick, and poor me, and I'm so sorry for myself. I mean, that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. So talk us about,
so you've got, okay, so this is what I've got.
Yeah. I think that leads really, really nicely into the brain. So a lot of people will say, I can't because, and I think you are particularly good. I mean, anyone who's not on Angelica's newsletter list, please get on Angelica's newsletter list. The links are below. The amount of advice and really, really good advice and straight talking advice that you give out for free is absolutely phenomenal. And this is what I mean. There's people out there like Angelica that really, really want to help. We're all in this together. You know, we can all learn from each other and help support each other. But when people are, it's another habit, isn't it? That we go, some people more than others will go straight into I can't because rather than I can. And with anyone who's children, we know how to encourage and work through that. But often as adults, they don't necessarily feel they've got that encouragement, which is why working with someone else to give you that encouragement is often key to success. But recognition that you're going into I can't, poor me is the first step, would you say?
The first step. I mean, I have had clients that is still, by the time that they come to me, they are feeling very desperate because they have been to different health professionals. They haven't had the answer that they want. They have tried all the magic pills and all the quick fixes, and nothing has really helped them, and they are ready to change. But in saying that, there are clients that when things get hard, you know, there is a lot of resistance, you know, and I will, and I think it's important as a coach to be honest with people. You know, when people say I can't because, my first initial thought, it will be to give them an alternative solution. Okay, let's say I don't like walking. I hate walking. Okay, so what do you like doing? You know, do you like yoga? Do you like swimming? Do you like, you know, going on your bike? You know, but you know, you need to choose one thing that you enjoy. I think that's really important. You like dancing, whatever it is, but bottom line is, what are you going to do to exercise your body? You know, and I think it's, you know, the person can come up with their own, you know, plan that makes them feel, you know, happier. That's fine. But if the answer is always I can't because I can't because, I will hold their hand as much as I can. But it does get to a point that you need to say, okay, so do you remember why we got together? What it is your goal? Okay, well, my goal it is to, you know, get my energy levels up, or my goal it is to heal myself from, you know, anxiety, or from acid reflux, or from my constipation issues, or from, you know, I want to finish cancer treatment feeling stronger like you did. Okay, so if that is your goal, what are you prepared to do every single day to get you there? Because by doing nothing, you're not going to get there. And I think because I live through it, if people, especially if people have, you know, going through the cancer treatment, the cancer journey, if people say to me, like, I'm really tired, and I'll be like, yeah, I know. I've been there. I have been there. I know. It's exhausting. It's not fun. It's not great. It's not ideal. But I'm telling you, if you do it now, if you push through it now, the results are going to be amazing. You're not going to believe how much your body's going to give back to you. So it's taking them on this journey of, you know, I think it's really important to reconnect them to their why.
Yes.
A lot of people, for example, you know, these days they want to lose weight. You know, they want to lose weight, and they want to lose weight fast because they want to see themselves in that bikini picture. That's it. That's all they have in their mind. And I just want to look sexy. I want to look, you know, beautiful. I want to look like this, you know, like these Instagram pictures or whatever. Okay, but that is not enough motivation to get you doing what you need to do, especially if you need to lose a lot of weight to get there. You need to have something deeper than that. You know, you're going to try for a week, you're going to try for 2 weeks, and then you're going to go back and doing the same things as you did before. And this is why weight loss is an industry that is worth trillions of dollars.
Absolutely.
You know, because it's playing in people's minds.
Yes. Yeah, everyone wants a quick fix, but at the end of the day, there's tools that can help us get started and make our journey easier. There's choices we can make from there, but no one else is going to do it. So I loved in your latest newsletter, this really stood out for me because I thought, bingo, there's so many people that feel this. I don't think there's anyone that won't have felt this. When someone says to you, well, okay, you've come up and you're building on different habits that change your way. Because as Joe Dispenza and as everyone says, you know, you're not going to get different results if you don't start doing things differently. So it's literally that simple for me. It's like, You know, I have this every day, Angelica. It's like, well, yeah, if I want to do different, if I want to feel differently, if I want to have more energy, if I want to, whatever your goal might be, then I have to do something differently. Because if I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to keep getting the same results. So that realization is literally that honest and that straightforward. But I noticed someone asked you about, well, how do you not worry that you're going to slip back into your old habits? And most people do slip back quite quickly into old habits. And I loved it when you said, well, I sat there and I thought, do I want to feel exhausted again? Do I want to feel out of control? So talk us through when people, because it's that nag, that voice again, everyone's thinking, but it's not going to last. I've tried it before. I've tried changing before. It hasn't worked. What's that switch?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about an emotional habit that I changed, actually a couple, that was really ingrained in my physical body. And it was my addiction to anger and my addiction to, which really, became a deep resentment inside of me with everything. And my default mode to react towards anything that happened to my life. And my addiction to stress. And, the addiction, both of them came from observing my parents dealing with things, because when I was about, 15, my dad had a business with his family, and, it didn't work out, and our lives became quite tormented in that period. And, I saw my dad just being very angry and very, everything, it was stressed, and my house was just horrendous, and I kind of thought, this is how you deal with life. This is how you, like you're saying, kids do what you do, not what you ask them to do, right? And I created this, and I manifested stressful jobs, and I manifested, opportunities in my life to be angry. And after I finished chemotherapy, feeling my physical body was in excellent, shape for what I had gone through, I realized I need to now start tapping into my mental and emotional habits, because I can't get stressed like this anymore. I can't keep being stressed all the time and worrying crazy. I can't do this anymore. I can't afford to doing that anymore. For one stressful situation, it can shut down your immune system for 5 hours. I can't afford that. It was real. Like, for me, it was like, this is a fact. So what am I going to do about it? And I started observing myself, how I dealt with everything, and becoming really self-aware of, wow, why do I get so angry about something that's got nothing to do with me? It's very interesting. And, and I started observing somewhat, and I stopped being scared to sit with me, to sit with my feelings and with my, the way that I was. I think a lot of it, we feel shame and we feel guilty. Why am I so crazy? Like, why do I behave like this? Or, I want to change, but I don't know how, because you are in kind of that self-awareness stage, and thinking like, how do I move that to create a new habit? And I think what people don't realize is that every plate of food that you eat, every time you exercise, every meditation practice, you start building a different foundation, a different environment inside you, at a physical level, at an energetic level in your cells, and at an emotional level. So that urge starts getting less and less, because if you think about it, a person who is eating constantly sugar, drinking alcohol, not sleeping, not exercising, it doesn't take that much for that person to be stressed. It doesn't take that much for that person to be angry. I was that person. But once I start looking after my terrain, my garden, it was easier to become aware of the habit. And when it comes to an emotional habit, it's just about becoming aware every time it pops up. Here I go, I'm angry again. This is it, I'm angry again. This is really interesting. There's no judgment, I'm just angry, that's okay. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to kill myself over it. I am just angry again. I am just stressed. Why am I so stressed about that? What can I do in this situation? Like worry. You said I was like that, always constantly worrying, until my life became so fragile that I couldn't even plan the next day, because the next day I could have been in emergency in the hospital. So planning was just an illusion. So when life got me to that, to facing that, do you want to plan? Like, well, I'm going to show you how you can plan. So tomorrow you're going to be, you're at emergency. You're like, why did I even worry about that? I didn't even know I was going to be here. And I really think, and I mean, this is perhaps another episode that we could do. We manifest things in our life so we can go through our learning. And again, because I'm stubborn as hell, I manifested something that was pretty serious for me to see what I needed to do. So we do those things here so people don't have to go through those things, right? Exactly. So people can just wake up before.
Yeah, and it's a choice, isn't it? It's a choice. It's an energy choice. And I think recognizing that about yourself is absolutely key, because yes, you can have loved ones and friends and things that can helpfully try and point things out to you, but until you accept it yourself and are honest with yourself about your patterns. Someone once said to me a while ago, my whole corporate career was on project planning, risk management, looking at things that could go wrong and mitigating those risks. And I was really, really good at it. And my father was really good at risk management type of things as well. And then someone said to me, well, are you sure you're not arsonist firefighter? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, do you subconsciously create or attract things into your life just so that you can continually reinforce how good you are at sorting those crises out? And I was like, it was such an aha moment for me. It was such, and it was said from a place of, I mean, I didn't even know this person so well, but they were so perceptive and they were saying it from a really helpful place. And I could have chosen to argue against that, or I could have like, oh my God. And then when you realize it and you can accept it, you can then decide to do something about it. And what you realize is, I have realized I've created so much energy to be able to put into creating things I do want in my life, just by not using that same energy for worrying about things that I could have chosen to change at any time. Now, it might have taken me quite a long while to get there. And this is why I laugh through these conversations. As we've said the whole time, it's not a race. You will get there when you're wanting to. But if you're even watching this today, if you're thinking about reaching out to work with any sort of coach, I would just say, listen to yourself. There's some part of you that's crying out for help. There's some part of you that wants to make a change and knows that things could be even better in your life, and that will have a knock-on effect on loved ones. So talk me through, Angelica, for you, as you've made such huge changes. So Angelica is an expert at getting people to recreate new habits and, most importantly, stick to them. What has been the reaction from people that have known you for a long while, like loved ones, family members, friends, etc.?
Really interesting. When I decided to go plant-based, which was one of the first kind of changes that I made after reading, about nutrition and what I needed to do in my journey, nobody thought it was a good idea. In my family, not my husband or my kids, but like extended family. They were like, you can't, you've got to eat meat. And I'm like, nah, I'm not, that's it. Like I have been very independent, from my family and from, my husband's family. They know how strong-minded I am. And I kind of, this is it. This is my journey. This is my body. I'm doing this. And I can't, for me, it was very much, for me, it was like life or death. I needed to make some drastic changes, and there was nothing that was going to deviate me from that. I think it gets tricky. Like we live here in Australia, and we don't have family here, so it's easier for us in a way. But there was a lot of talks all the time. Are you still not going to eat meat? Are you not going to drink milk? Are you not going to eat cheese? Are you not going to, like it's really good for you. You're not going to eat pasta. It's like, no, that kind of stuff. And it's like, for me, it's like they don't know. And after seeing me, because of course they hadn't seen me, and until after the treatment, and how well we all looked, me, my husband, and my kids, everybody was like, wow, like this is incredible. Like this is just, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you guys are thriving. Like I can see that. And I would say a few family members have taken on board some of our changes for sure, but not everybody. And again, I think that I have a lot of clients that they say to me, my husband is never going to do that. My kids are never going to do that. Again, I think it's important not to worry about that, and just to focus on you and stay in your lane if that's the case. Like I was really lucky that my husband was like, okay, fine, I get it. And I kept explaining to him what happened, and he reaped the benefits because he's in the best shape of his life and he's going to be 50. My kids, it was a little struggle at the beginning. They didn't want to change. I kind of kept being persistent. Again, sometimes I would cook the same meal 7 times before my daughter would say, oh yeah, I really like that.
These bites take a while to change, don't they? Because different conversations. Yeah. Your microbiome, if you're feeding it the wrong stuff, then your mouth and taste buds and everything will crave the wrong stuff. Because I say it's like there's little bad gremlins in your mouth that's saying, give me sugar, give me sugar, give me sugar. So, this is why.
I know exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how your tastes change when you tip over that threshold of consistency, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I eat an apple and I'm like, oh my God, they've added sugar to this apple. This is just too sweet for me. Yes. Because I don't eat any more refined sugar, But it is a gradual process. And I think it's important to always reconnect your why, because it's not nobody wants to change, right? Like change is like, it is challenging. We all like comfort and, and doing the same things. But when you look at it and you have a really good audit of your life, you have to ask yourself, do I actually feel great? Do I jump out of bed feeling, full of energy and happy and excited about the day? People think like, oh, that's an illusion. I say, it's not. It's not an illusion. An illusion is living in exhaustion and thinking this is the only way. No, I'm not sitting here and saying I don't have any problems, I don't have any stress, I don't work on anything else, and I'm perfect. But I have committed to show up to myself every single day. So back to that question, which I actually didn't finish, when people say to me, like, are you not scared to go back to your old self? It's impossible. I've created a different pattern. It's literally impossible. My body doesn't know how to be angry anymore like I was before. My body doesn't know how to be stressed all the time like I was before. You start creating different patterns, which is the work that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, by sitting in meditation and, by kind of, how does he say, like taking the reins of the bull, like it's just every time, that your mind wanders, you bring it back. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. The same thing, I'm angry. Yeah, I'm angry. Okay, well, now it's time to go for a walk, and just have an intention to let this go. And the more you start doing those things, the more you start creating different patterns inside your body, different energy in your cells, and you become a different person.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So I can't wait to see the questions we've got from this. So I just want to, I know we've been going for a while, but a couple more things that I really want to sort of cover. First and foremost, perception. So you covered something really, really important there that I just want to bring out a bit more for people. People don't realize how good things can be. because these changes creep up gradually on ourselves, the weight, the lack of energy, the not having time to cook, etc. And most people watching us, not all, I know all of our situations are unique, but a lot of people are lucky enough to have a lot of choices. You know, anyone that can go to a supermarket and has a choice of food, that's a real luxury that many people in the world do have. So convenience can be such a killer of dreams.
Yeah.
I think. So recognizing that we have these choices and recognizing that, almost, I sort of say, going back to the more simpler way of things, I feel really, really lucky. So I can have my washing machine and my tumble dryer and I actually try not to use supermarkets for, you know, other reasons, for ethical reasons. But actually going back to what when I grew up, my mother didn't have big supermarkets that you could go into things. You had to go to the greengrocers for your fruit and veg, and you went to the butchers for your meat. You know, it was a full day's job going and getting the supplies in. Every day food was cooked from scratch because we didn't have convenient meals. You know, you didn't have ready-made meals. So it's lovely we've got that choice and we don't have to be perfect all the time, but realizing the joy in going back to those basic life skills, I think, can be transformational. I'm now lucky enough, I'm in a state where I work from home most of the time. So I've got a vegetable garden going again. I've got into sprouting. I've got into all sorts of things that I've want to do. So that joy of going back to the basics in life can be so great to reconnect with, do you think?
I think gratitude is everything. Like, at the beginning of my journey, you know, I made a shift. I would say I was quite a negative person because of everything that I had gone through, especially with my family, because my dad and my mom and everybody became very negative because our lives became hell overnight. But as soon as I was ready to conquer the cancer and their whole journey, I started being grateful for being in Australia, in a first world country where I had the best service ever. You know, being grateful to having a poo after chemotherapy and not being constipated. Being grateful for having had the best surgeon, you know, to have done my emergency surgery. Being grateful for having a plate of food that was healing me, you know, with every mouthful. And I think that bottom line is, you know, when you talk about convenience, is that people don't prioritize their health, and that's the bottom line. What people are doing with their time these days, they're spending on social media, they are spending on going to get a takeaway or what, you know. If anything, I think social media is actually a killer of a lot of things, you know, because people are just scrolling and, you know, not educating themselves and applying anything to their lives and wasting their time. And when it gets down to time management, when something is important to you, like your social media scrolling, you make time for it.
Absolutely.
You know, when it's not, you know, so it's really like thinking, you know, before I would be the first to say, oh, health is the most important thing, but I didn't live by that.
No,
I didn't display those actions every single day. You know, it is about thinking that, you know, is health really important to me? Why? I sat at the reception waiting for my chemotherapy treatment with people that were at least 20 years older than me. I was by far the youngest. They would look at me thinking like, what are you doing here? You know, if I didn't have a pick line, they would probably think I was with somebody. And I had a real conversation with myself. Do I want to end up here again? Is that how I want to grow old? I mean, some people from one week to another, they will come in like half dead. And I don't want to come to this place anymore. I'm going to do everything I can every single day. So I never depend on doctors, that I don't depend on medication. I was dependent on them. And, you know, is that a guarantee? No, it's not. But what is the other choice? Keep doing what I was doing, going back to drinking alcohol, eating crap food, and being stressed out and angry and unhappy, I don't want to go back there. So until people are ready to have a hard conversation with themselves, change it's impossible to make. But once you're ready to really have a serious conversation with yourself, little by little, you start creating a different version of yourself, a different body, a different mind. I have a belief that anything is possible when you set your mind to. Anything is possible when that does not mean you're going to be sitting in the sofa eating cakes. I'm sorry. That means you're going to have to do stuff. And I think it's a choice. Do you want to be ready? Do you actually want to do things or not? Or do you want to stay where you are at? And for me, another important part, what motivated me, especially at the beginning, and I would always say this, is that I couldn't do it for me at the beginning. I did it for my children because they were 6 and 4. And the thought of them growing up without a mom, I just couldn't bear it. So that got me motivated. So this whole idea that a bikini picture is going to motivate you, you forget about it. It's not. You need to have a deeper why. If you want to get out of bed every day and control that inner voice and, get out when it's dark and cold, when you haven't, done for years, when you want to lose the weight, it's not going to be easy. But is it impossible? No, it's not.
And are the rewards worth it? Absolutely.
Exactly. And can anybody do it for you? No. Like, I knew that the oncologists were doing the best they could. The gastroenterologists, they're doing the best. They were doing their job, but it was my job to take control, and it's everybody's job to take control of their health. There are things that only each of us can do. And that goes beyond taking supplements, right? As you know, supplements it's sitting here, but the things that you need to do physically, mentally, and emotionally, it sits with you.
Yeah, supplements are not an excuse for living an unhealthy lifestyle. They are a brilliant enabler to one of your habits that you're going to look through, whether you do it on your own or with your coach. Can I just come back to the eating cake on the sofa? So for me, the biggest perception, and I've seen this, my daughter has got a massive why, and she is so brilliant at sticking to her habit. She's understood what she needs to do to make the changes to achieve what she wants. And she is an absolute inspiration. I mean, I'm blown away by how good she is.
Yeah.
But what I want to say to people, and I really want your opinion on this, is the difference is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're not sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm missing out, sitting on the sofa, eating cake with my glass of wine, because you don't want to do it anymore. So like when you said, it's impossible for you to go back to the own way. When you make these changes, it's not that you're sitting there each day feeling that you're making a sacrifice. You don't ever want to make that choice again. Talk me through how that works for you.
So I binge drink for 16 years, and and I never stopped drinking alcohol after the kids. Like I kept drinking 2 units every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Before you know, you're drinking every day, and you know how it goes. Sugar is the same thing. Everybody brings cakes to work, and you eat a bit. Oh yeah, I'm not addicted to sugar. There's sugar in everything. Now, once you start understanding the scientific, or whatever you want to call the knowledge behind why you're doing that, and for me that is also important. It takes the liver 3 hours to detox from 1 unit of alcohol, and I'm like, I binge drink for 16 years. My liver is probably still doing that. Like I can't imagine going back to any of it. Like if I see things that are, like, cakes and chocolate, like even, I would eat dark chocolate, but I wouldn't eat any milk chocolate anymore. I mean, I am strict because I have to be strict, because I have gone through what I have gone through, right? And I want to put this out there as well. But I do think that the whole, like, I only do a little bit, these days you have to be so conscious about what you do, because it's sugar, alcohol, convenience is everywhere. So once you start getting into creating a new normal inside your body, if we have one takeaway a week, and would have to be to restaurants that I know where it's from and all the rest of it, I feel in my body, and I don't want to have any more than that.
Mm.
If I go to a place where there is nothing for me to eat, I will just look for the healthiest thing. I mean, I'll get out of my way I'm not doing that because it's not a chore. It is a habit now. It is my habit. I don't even think about it. I just do it. My kids do it. My husband does it. It's not, we don't even think about it. My kids will say to me, "Mommy, I've eaten too much sugar. I don't want this anymore." If they go to a party, they will tell me, "Mommy, we've eaten one," like we went to the restaurant, if you go to the restaurant and you bring like the leftovers home and you eat for lunch, they'll be like, "Oh, can we have something at home today? Because we've eaten twice. It's just too much." So it's unconscious now. Like you say, it's unconscious. It's not even conscious anymore for me.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to really people realize it's not, you're not by what we're talking about. You're not going to then spend your rest of your life feeling like you're missing out. It's absolutely, completely the opposite, because there will be a point when your body makes that switch over where you're not craving those choices anymore. And, this is the joy, it's not, it's very hard when people start down the journey, do you think, Angelica, for it not to feel like an overwhelming mountain to climb, which is why we keep coming back. Start small, work with someone to get some support. And if you can't afford a coach, there's so much good online resources that you can look at. There's books that you can get, etc. So there's something out there for everyone. But don't feel that the rewards so outweigh the benefit, and taking that first step to changing is literally like taking the first step to recreating your new life.
I totally agree. And I think I think that's a big misconception. People thinking that we're here suffering, if you ask me, I haven't had like a soda. There is things that I've never had after my cancer treatment. I would never have a McDonald's. Like I would never have that. Not even, like, I would rather go hungry. There are things that I would not have. But for me, like the idea of it's actually quite scary. I'm like, I just, I couldn't even face this, in the same way as maybe people think about, healthy food like that. I think about unhealthy food like that. Like, why would I even do this? Like, this is crazy, and I think you mentioned briefly about the supermarket. I didn't go to the supermarket for 3 months when I kind of self-quarantined during treatment. And I remember the first day I went to the supermarket, I had made so many changes already. My husband would go and get all the veggies and we would be cooking at home. And it was so overwhelming, that experience of going to the supermarket for the first time. It was like if I had never been to one. And I looked around and I started going through the aisles, because you've got the veggies and fruit. And I was like, oh my God, sugar, 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 process, 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 sugar, 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 sugar. And I was just like, whoa. And I actually felt a deep compassion for everybody that is trying to be healthy, because I thought to myself, how can somebody who has got no idea, who's confused, who is trying to lose weight, trying to get control of their health, come out of this place with a healthy trolley?
Absolutely. It is virtually impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's like, I think you said so many times in this interview, and I'm so grateful that you have, that this is not about beating yourself up. It's not about judging yourself. There's a huge difference between understanding where you're at and criticizing yourself for it. It's so easy. It's virtually impossible. I'm very lucky. We live in a little village quite a long way from the other towns. So I have no temptation to get takeaways most of the time. I'm not saying we never have one.
Yeah.
But if we have one, we've got to get in the car, drive 20, 25 minutes to
Yeah.
get one. By the time you get back, it's cold. You know, we don't have any that deliver to us. It's such a blessing. Whilst if I lived in the middle of a town, a city or something, obviously I've got way more temptations to me. So don't beat yourself up about this, but please don't feel that this is a hardship, it's a suffering. It is literally the biggest thing I want to leave people with. It's the complete opposite. I've got loads of habits that I'm going to be speaking to Angelica about, you know, sort of working with, because this is the thing, is once you start and then you master one new habit, then you're ready to take on the next one. And some people can take on loads at once and other people can't. So it's a very individual journey, but just starting somewhere. So if we had to wrap up today, if people were sitting there thinking, right, okay, I've got to sort of, first of all, realize what my habits are, and secondly, we've been really clear about 5 minutes in the morning for your physical body and quieten your mind. What other things do you want people to walk away from, summaries from this interview? What are your must-haves that you really want people to remember?
So they sleep, definitely don't compromise on sleep. Going to bed 15 minutes early if you are going to bed, you know, if you are going to wake up 15 minutes earlier. You know, I run to my bed at 9 o'clock and I wake up at 5. So I have 8 hours. I literally run to my bed. I say to my husband, do you have anything else to say? Because I'm going to bed. That's it. So unless the house is on fire, I am rushing to bed. And I think that, you know, if people are going to change their diet, change one thing at a time. So change their whole breakfast.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Love
it.
that.
And then after 2 weeks, you know, change their lunches. After 2 weeks, and you start introducing, the dinner is a bit harder because you have to incorporate the whole family, right? I actually do have a course which is called Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. It's $147. You can add the link below if people want to get it, which takes people by the hand on those simple habits that they can implement, with how to change the breakfast and lunch as well. But I think, like you said, it's so important to stop taking all of these advices like, oh, this is too hard. Start where you are at. Start with small steps. And once you start getting the momentum, don't go and jump again. The consistency, it's more important than how many minutes you're exercising and how many minutes you're meditating. You know, when you actually feel like this is actually part of who I am, then you move to the next habit.
Love it.
You know, because everybody's busy, everybody's got a lot on. So, and I think, you know, when you start your day like this, the most important thing is that you're choosing you as a mom. And you know that, like, it's so hard for us to choose ourselves. And as a parent, you know, or if you've got family members or animals to look after, you know, I've had clients that said, oh, I've got to feed my dogs first. You know, okay, so how do we incorporate that to choosing you? Because once you fill your cup every morning, every day, you are not kind of getting your bank balance from the negative every day, which is what most people are doing.
I love it. And for those of you with animals, one of the biggest joys can be watching them return back to health. And that's what I specialize in, is working with people to change their habits, the diet plans, the exercise, the sort of, it's just as important for our animals, as Coco will testify here lying on my desk. But this is, have fun with this. Let us know your questions below. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast, feel free to email me in and we can answer them next time. I'm going to be putting all Angelica's links below about how you can connect with her. Please sign up to her newsletter. It is brilliant. And also about the Change Your Habits, Change Your Life course that she offers as well. And what I would say is there's never a better time than right now.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
Just start where you are and start now with what you have.
Love it. Thank you so much, Angelica. I love these conversations so much. I learn so much. I find it so useful. We really appreciate your honesty and sharing your journey. It's just so wonderful to see. And I'm sure we will be back again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you very
much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. My goal is to inspire as many people as I can to live their best lives, to stay curious and to raise their consciousness and that of the collective. So to do this, I need to reach as many people as possible, and this needs your help. If you feel drawn, would you be willing to share your favourite episode with 5 different people? This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. If you feel drawn to do that, I will be very, very grateful. All the links and discount codes where applicable for all the products that I support are on my 2 websites, 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓𝗓 and 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗔.com. All of the products are personally tried and tested by me, my family and my clients. And finally, please do press the follow or subscribe button, depending which platform you're listening on. And above all, stay curious and stay free.